Ready? Okay. Let me stop. You know, I didn't think I was going to say anything, but I was listening. I talk about the ego all the time and dissolving the ego, and how do we do that when you always have bills to pay? And speaking of that, I want to talk about the dream world in a little bit, but I want to bring something else up first. So I was listening to Bobby Hemmett, and it just brought back to me something I already knew. But see, sometimes when something grabs your attention so much, and in which I was still working on my ego, it's almost like I have to be as a child, because I was working on, how you just do meditations, work on stuff, and I get that. But see, sometimes you just got to be like a child. And that's what I want to say about everything that's happening right now. I honestly don't keep up with everything that's going on. Here's why. Because I don't, I'm going to say it, and it's not going to sound right. I don't like responsibility. Now, I don't mean that as, and what I'm saying is kind of profound, but it don't sound like it. But I'm going to get to what I mean. You are only responsible for connecting with your true self. That's the only thing you should be responsible for. Connecting with your true self. If you got a family or a so-called child or a so-called husband, whoever. And the reason why I say so-called is because we were never born. I was talking to somebody earlier today, yesterday, because as I'm recording this, it's already after midnight, that there is no such thing as a real physical birth. We're in a virtual reality, so what we're doing is processing information. Okay? Even if people want to believe in the holographic world, even with that, there's still no physical birth. Okay? So if you want to believe in the holographic world or virtual reality, either way it goes, there's no real birth. We were never born, but yet we take stuff so seriously. This is why I say I don't like responsibility. I don't like bills. I don't like a world where we have to worry about paying bills and money. And yes, some people have it so well that they don't have to be concerned about that. But then there are those who once did not have to be concerned, do have to be concerned now because of rising gas prices and no telling what's going to happen. Because if the gas prices continue to do that, it's not just about you and your car. It's about the trucking companies. It's about taxis. It's about buses. It's about Lyft. It's about Uber. It's about DoorDash. It's about Uber Eats. It's about Grubhub. It's about everything when people have to not going to be able to pay for gas. And it could even be about airlines. Who knows? Because like I say, I don't focus that much on it. So I could be leaving things out because I never could just get into being so serious like that. I never could. I never could really get into CNN like that. I never could get into news. I could never get into being overly serious. Besides going to school and having to go get my college degree because of a certain job that I wanted. You had to have a degree for it. But at the same time, I always wanted to be an actress or something like that. But, in the meantime, just get something that give you guaranteed pay while you're waiting on that. Because, with my trip to Los Angeles, you do a lot of stuff for free until you get your foot in the door. Okay? But so definitely it's good to have something guaranteed and something that's well paying. So, that's what my degrees are for, is to make sure that I'm covered, not because I want to feel accomplished. I never ever felt accomplished. Never. I don't care if I got an MBA or whatever. I never was the person to feel accomplished. I don't care if I have a PhD. People are like, oh, PhDs over. I don't feel accomplished. I don't care about that. If I'm getting those things, it's because it's something that I want and that I have to do it to get it. Just like I have to work or do something to get a certain amount of money to pay a certain bill every week, right? It's only because I need to get somewhere, not because I want to feel good about myself or feel accomplished. Because the only time I really, really feel good is when I really do what I want to do and make my soul happy. That's when I feel good about myself. That could be going to get a funnel cake. That's when I feel good about myself. Now, here's why I want to go with that. Because I was listening to Bobby Hemmett and it just brought me back to this. Be like a child. That's how you unlock your soul or whatever, get to your soul. It's to be like a child. I mean, it's good to meditate, do all that stuff, but see, sometimes meditation can be taken too seriously. You could be, some people can be too serious. Sometimes people talk about, oh, I don't like to meditate take too long. I said, what exactly do you think meditation is? Because it ain't about me sitting up in Indian, what they call Indian style, right? That's what they call Indian style. And I see why. I mean, I've been to India. They sit like that. And they're the group of people that sit like that more than anybody else I ever seen. Okay? So I get why they call it Indian style. But it ain't about going to it. Excuse me. It's not about sitting in Indian style with your back all up erect and all that stuff. And that erect stuff can probably have something to do with the Kundalini. Excuse me, Kundalini. But what is a Kundalini when you go to no self? When you get to the point of no self, then what is a Kundalini? What are chakras? What are chakras and what is a Kundalini when you get to the point of no self? When you get to the point of not even being born, because there's no such thing as a physical birth. So what are chakras? What are chakras when you were never born? Huh? What is energy when we were never born? What is that? But because we're in this matrix, there's a lot of rules put in this matrix, and a lot of things talking about quantum stuff and energy and all this and that. And the water is not real. There's always a threat of running out of water. People have to get all this water. Why? Because the way we process information, we think that water is really there. But once we get to the point of no self, we're going to understand that we create that water with our minds because we were never born. But we take life so seriously, and including myself, I'm saying we. I ain't pointing my finger at nobody else. We take life so seriously. So I want to get to the point of what's going on now. I really can't have a educated conversation about everything that's going on now because I don't like to take things like that seriously. Why? Because it takes you out of your ego. It's not even about fear. You don't have to fear COVID. You don't have to fear the variants. You don't even have to fear the gas prices. But the fact that we have to take it in, it means that we have to take it somewhat seriously because whoever's making the rules affects our lives. Like I was talking to somebody probably yesterday, and I was talking about this new variant, I guess, is coming out. I didn't even read the whole article because I don't care. I don't care. Okay? And she was like, yeah, they want to create fear. Like, yeah, they want to create fear, but here's the problem. Even if you know they're full of it, and everybody can know they're full of it, like it was in a documentary when all this stuff first started, there was a documentary about the pandemic, and it had millions and millions upon millions of views. And even when, I talked to a lot of people who kind of started to learn that it was a bunch of mess, right? I talked to so many people who knew that. Even when wearing a mask, because I'm an OT, and I told her, I say, do you have trouble breathing in your mask? Because I was working with a lot of elderly people and stuff. I said, do you have a hard time with your mask? She's like, of course. I'm breathing in my own CO2. Of course I have a problem. Okay, so you know that you probably going to pass out breathing in your own CO2, but you got to do what you're told. See, that's the problem. It does not do any good to expose anything to anybody if they're going to keep having to do what they're told anyway. People are just following rules. So it's no need of exposing nothing. There's no need of telling them nothing. It's no need of nothing. It's no need of them realize until they get to the point where they don't care about rules, which I'm not trying to say be a rebel and go to prison. But it's time for people to just become childlike. It's time for them to not care. It's time for them to get to the point of not even being born. It looks like that's what needs to happen right now. Get to the point of no self right now. Because it looks like everything, including the kitchen sink, including the gardens, including everything that you can think of, is thrown in everybody's face. You got the Ukraine-Russia mess, and people saying, well, why would Americans got to pay because of what happened in some other country? See how we got to take all that crap seriously? You see what I'm saying? And it's almost like you're forced to care about what happens between Ukraine and Russia. You're forced to care because they done hiked up the gas prices on you to the point where now you're forced to pay attention to something that ain't none of your business. This is what I'm saying. You're forced to pay attention to something that ain't none of your business because they hiking up oil and gas prices. I know the main goal is to get to these electric cars because they want to get rid of the gas cars and they want to get to strictly technology. So the over goal is just to get to everybody driving these electric cars. I mean, that's the goal. I knew that like a couple of years ago. You know, but yeah. Become like a child, and right at this point, it would be nice if 75% of Americans, which is not going to happen because people are going. I told you I saw a barren land, but just hypothetically, excuse me, it's late, and when it gets late like this, I have to. 75% of Americans become like a child, become to the point of no self, come to the point of like a baby. And in their mind is no matter what they say to you, they don't care. They don't take it in. They don't take it in their subconscious because they don't care. What will happen to these people in power once everybody drop their egos and stop taking all this stuff in and stop caring? What will happen? Okay? Because they create these scenarios and stories. I mean, you in the virtual reality, you in the holographic reality, yet you have all these problems. Why are all these problems existing inside of a computer system? Inside of a holographic reality or a computer system? Either or, it's a computer system. But yet and still, you got some powers that be that create problems. These problems are created. You're in a virtual reality, if you want to believe that, or others believe in a holographic system. Either way, that means these are narratives and stories that's created in your mind. And they're making you believe they're crap. They don't even exist. Because if it's a holographic world, either or, these are stories that these powers that be, because we give them the power, that's why they're the powers that be. Okay? Either way it goes, because most people know that there's no physical world is an illusion. Most people know that. Most people know that. So what we feel like is real is in our minds. So it's like we are forced to have all this fear and have all this responsibility and do all this stuff and pay for, be concerned about a war between, be concerned about some countries that ain't got nothing to do with us, but now you're forced to be concerned about them because they're affecting your life once again. And how do they get to affect your life? In a virtual reality inside of a computer or even in a holographic world? Either or, it is a computer system. So that means they are messing with your brain and creating they're creating their realities. They are creating their narratives inside your brain because it's not even happening. It's the story that they want to create inside your brain, and they got you doing all this stuff. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. It'd be great, and I need to do it too. Just get back to like being a child. Get back to being less than 5 years old. Get rid of that ego just for a day. Just for a day, get rid of the ego and see what happens to them. See, get to the point of just not caring what they got to say. The 75% of Americans, get back to not caring what they got to say for one whole day and act like you 5 years old or less and see what kind of power they have. Because when you get to the point of acting like a child for just one day, your ego is gone. Your ego is gone. And what kind of power are they going to have then? Because now you're not going to care what they got to say. Okay? I want to talk about the dream world. I spoke about that a little bit, but then I wanted to re-record it. In my dream world, because dream world is supposed to be the real world. Now, the astral world altogether is an illusion, but the physical world is more of an illusion than the dream world. Dream world is still a part of the astral world until you get completely out the simulation, and that's something else. Okay? But either way, the dream world is more of your reality than your physical world, yet for some reason we have to take this physical world seriously. I don't recall having to constantly be concerned with paying rent in my dream world. I don't recall being concerned having to really pay for food in my dream world. I mean, I remember going to restaurants and doing this, but I just don't recall having to be concerned about money in my dream world. But yet, and still, or whatever it is, whatever story it is. But for some reason, it seems like in this false physical reality, We got to be concerned with rising gas prices. We got to be concerned with the war. We got to be concerned with all this stuff. We got to be concerned with this shelves running out of water, running out of food. We got to worry about stocking up. Everything that puts you deep into your ego. But yet and still, I don't recall ever in my dream world having to be concerned about any of that. But it seems like in the more false physical reality, it seems like you have to be concerned about stuff in a false physical reality. It's almost like maybe a lot of us need to concentrate on merging our physical reality with our dream world and get rid of the physical altogether, because it makes no sense that you have to be focused on something that's in an illusion in the first place. We should not have to be focused on Ukraine and Russia. I don't have dreams about film. I don't have dreams about high gas prices in my dream world. Only time I see it is in this false, fake reality when I wake up. Well, it's not really waking up. Actually, when you think you're waking up, you're actually falling asleep. And when you're asleep, you're waking up. So it's kind of backwards like that. Because the dream world is actually the real world, and the physical world is the fake world. But for some reason, we got to take that seriously, and that's what makes our ego so big. So it's like it's best to learn how to get back to that dream world and let go of physical altogether. That way, this will no longer be a problem. But that's all I got to say. I just want to kind of speak on it because I just heard somebody say something about be like a child, and it made me feel like saying something. But anyway, I'll talk later. Okay.